with the professors and who is up today in the next few days. That is all for the agenda.
So, Frank, I'm going to warn you, I missed the first 30 seconds of that.
No, no problem.
But I don't think you have to do it again. We'll hit
Okay.
we'll hit all the items.
Take a look at this slide.
It's always the case. It's been one of those days. Chris, you want to come on and let me just push over to WebEx and kind of pop you up there and wow, that is funky.
Whoa.
Wow.
There.
Oh, wow. Oh, so you rebroadcast me from WebEx into your Discord or some other?
Yeah, I'm using a software called OBS. We'll see how well it works when we're trying to move like this. But it seems to work pretty good most of the time until we got that weird video effect that I have never heard before or never seen before.
All right. All right. Well, first off, hey, thanks everybody for joining. I'm seeing like 112 participants, so this is amazing turnout for RCOS. So we appreciate your time and allowing us to present about our NSF Cyber Teams project, which hopefully you'll find interesting. Again, my name is Professor Carruthers. If you don't know me, I might be teaching some of you in computer organization, or you might decide to take parallel computing, or have already had it. And so, in fact, that's one of the things the cyber team is concerned with. In the big picture, we're concerned with about workforce development and high performance computing. The project is actually led by Andrew Sherman, Dr. Sherman from Yale University. He's waving there. And we can't forget Kaylee Nelson as well from University. And then we have today Julie Ma, who's from the Massachusetts Green High Performance Computing Center as well. And she's actually our sort of, I guess you're our champion person for our project. You sort of help us manage all of the cyber team project activities. And Julie's going to give the overview for us, but broadly speaking, again, it's workforce development. What we're pitching to you is we would love you at the end of this, if you're interested, to please sign up on our portal, and then we can begin to link you up with possible RCOS projects, and then we'll figure out the mechanism for managing it. And let me just say out of the gate that we have money to pay you, if that's not attractive enough. And I'm sure Julie will emphasize that as well. Also, I'll introduce my PhD student, Neil McGlowan, who is helping as well with this project. But without further ado, I'll let Julie take it over.
Okay, thank you. Let's see if we can get this to work twice. All right. Okay, thank you, Chris. So I am the program manager for the career cyber team, but also the Northeast cyber team that's been doing a similar program for 3 years. And so we're taking a lot of the things that we learned in Northeast and implementing them in careers, and working with this really great team that includes Andy, Dr. Sherman, Dr. Carruthers, Haley, and quite a few other people that I'll talk about in a moment. Careers stands for Cyber Team to Advance Research and Education in Eastern Regional Schools. And so I thought that was a pretty great acronym that Dr. Sherman came up with for the grant. So it's a 3-year NSF-funded program to make cyber infrastructure more readily accessible to researchers at small and medium-sized schools in 6 states. The Northeast Cyber Team had a similar goal for 4 states, and so it's kind of an expansion in from the Northeast, the upper Northeast, down the coast a little bit, and then inland a little bit. And the idea is that at many of the small and medium-sized institutions in these states, there might not be critical mass to support research computing facilitators on campus. So there's a whole bunch of terms here that you might not have heard before, so let's look at what they are. If I can get my slide to advance. That's interesting. Oh, there we go. Sorry. So what is cyber infrastructure? Oh, apologies for the bold. I just added this slide. So this is a term that's used a lot to describe just the computing systems, data storage, the network that combines it, advanced instruments, data repositories, kind of all the really advanced techie stuff out there that enables researchers to either improve their productivity and also have make breakthroughs in their science. So when we talk about advanced cyber infrastructure, we're talking about really big computers that typically don't sit in a researcher's department, on their floor where they work the most, and definitely not in their own office. And oftentimes, what happens is you're working on some piece of research, and suddenly your research gets too big for the computing capacity that you have in your office. And so either you're trying to run simulations that, if you try and run it on your workstation and your laptop, it might take 2 weeks to complete one run, which really reduces your productivity a lot. Or it has a massive amount of data that also doesn't fit on your laptop. So for situations like that, people start wanting to make use of the national cyber infrastructure to be able to solve their problems. So what is the Research Computing Facilitator? Well, research computing facilitators are basically people that specialize in helping researchers get onto that cyber infrastructure. So if you think of cyber infrastructure as, it's built on the word infrastructure. So, the physical infrastructure of the country is, roads and highways and trains and all that. And this is like the technical infrastructure of the country. And people need to make use of it, but they don't necessarily need to make use of it all the time. And so when they suddenly get to that point in their research where, oh gosh, I either need to go buy 10 computers and put them in my office and turn it into an oven, or I need to go make use of these resources that are available, some funded by the National Science Foundation, some of them funded by the Department of Energy, some of them funded by states, but all of these resources aren't in direct control of the researcher. And so the research computing facilitators are people that can help them learn how to make use of that technology. And so they, advise the researchers on what the best choice of technology is to use. They might have to help them port their code. They might have to help them decide how they want to allocate their data. But facilitators are people that specialize in that onboarding and that use of that infrastructure. And it's widely recognized that to make successful use of our national cyber infrastructure, we need facilitators, but it's very hard to find them. And this shortage is actually slowing down or making it hard to be as good as we can be with our science, our research in this country. So why do you need a facilitator again? Well, I mentioned some of that, but these facilitators are people that specialize in making that transition. When you're a researcher and you're at that crossroads, how do I now move and make best use of the cyber infrastructure? And the thing is, if you're a researcher and you're pursuing some very specific topic, you might only have to do that transition once every few years, because most of the time you're thinking about your science. You're not necessarily paying attention to all the computing trends, all the networking trends, all of the cool advances that are happening in technology that might be able to help you, because you're working on your specific piece of science. And so, but facilitators are the people that, because they go from project to project and help people make that transition, they're the people that are really trying to stay on top of all of that. And so why are they so hard to find? Well, there's no course or there's no degree that you can get in research computing facilitation at the moment in America, actually anywhere. And so many people that are really great facilitators currently fell into it. Like, they might have been a physicist or they might have been a computational chemist, but they found that they were spending most of their time helping people in their lab or in their department with making use of computing and less time on the science, because what was really fascinating them was the computing piece of it. And so since there's no program to study to learn how to be a facilitator, programs like Careers became available or are being funded by the NSF so that we can introduce people, students like yourselves, early on in your careers to this really cool field. Because it's really fun, because you get to jump between projects and see a lot of kind of the leading edge of what's going on in technology or in research, and cover a lot of different domains. So is this a job for you? Is this a field that would be of interest to you? Well, I called this talk "Are You Curious?" because that's also the name of or that's the title on a flyer that we have as well. But one of the key characteristics of people that are good facilitators is just an innate curiosity. Like, I really love my major, but I also really am interested in this other thing that my friends are doing, and I like to jump between different types of domains, different types of science, and I really like making use of computing to solve problems. So if all of those things sound familiar to you, maybe you've done a project that's completely outside of your department, but really was really fun for you, then facilitation is very likely to be a good thing for you to at least explore. And the other thing is enjoying working with people, because a lot of facilitation is about working with a researcher and their lab to help them make use of infrastructure. So you'd end up developing relationships with the people that are providing the infrastructure, as well as the various researchers. So enjoying talking to people is kind of an important thing about this role as well. So this career cyber team, how do we try to solve this, or how do we try to address this problem? Well, as I said, there's not really a degree program in doing research computing facilitation right now. So careers projects are all about what we call experiential learning. We basically put people that are participating in the program onto projects that are at that crossroads that I talked about earlier. And what we do is we find student facilitators, hopefully like people like many of you on this call, that have an interest in exploring what these, what it's like to be a facilitator. So somebody that has some computing experience, probably written some code, ideally also knows a little bit about Linux, but not necessarily. But we find a student facilitator that has a curiosity about exploring this this profession. Then we pair them with a mentor that's a professional facilitator. And that mentor is typically somebody that has expertise in the domain of science that researcher is working in. So if it's a physics problem, we'll get a physics mentor. If it's a chemistry problem, we'll get a chemistry mentor. But that person will provide expertise, subject matter expertise, to help make sure that the project and the science moves along, and will also help you, the student, in learning how to be a facilitator, because the role is a little different than an internship where you're coming in to solve a particular project and like write a particular piece of code. So you're doing all of that, but you're also trying to leave the project at the end. Facilitators want to leave the researcher and their lab in a position where they can be self-sufficient at the end. So you're always thinking of it as an engagement where you're working with this group to help them make use of the cyber infrastructure, but you're not necessarily going to be assigned to them for 2 years. You might be assigned to them for 3 to 6 months. So these projects are typically 3 to 6 months long. And there's a bullet here that we really always want to move science forward. We want to give you a great experience, but we also want to give the researcher a great experience and help them move their project along. And then the other thing that we've done with this program is develop tools and resources to help people that are participating in this program, and also just the community of people that do research computing facilitation. We've made an effort to build tools to help them with self-service learning, which is always really important for this type of work. the reason it's really important is that when you are a professional facilitator, you will get assigned to a project and you probably don't have time to go do 6 months of research to learn everything there is about astrophysics. You need to learn enough that you can apply the skills that you've learned about doing computation for this type of project before. And it might have been in a different field, but then you want to take those skills and deploy them here. So there's always a period of kind of just-in-time learning. So we've developed some tools to help with finding the best, self-service training modules to get yourself up to speed. So just to give you an example of how this would actually happen, say Dr. Carruthers had a project where he really needed a student to help him deploy a particular new piece of code onto a cluster. Dr. Carruthers probably isn't the best example because he's in that department, but let's pretend he was a computational chemist. So he'll submit a project on our portal, the careers portal, which I'll talk about a little bit more in a moment. And then our steering committee will look at it and make sure that it's a project that's defined in a way that we think that it will be successful for our student facilitator as well as for the researcher. Then the projects become visible on the portal, and then we start recruiting. So hopefully we have student facilitators that are signed up on the portal that are looking for projects, and we start trying to match people with whose interests match the projects. And then we also find a mentor. Once we have all those people in place, we start the project off, and then our student facilitators join us in a monthly meeting where they basically participate as a virtual team across all of these 6 states where all of these projects are going. So when you start a project, you give a little launch presentation. We have a template for that. So basically just making sure that you understand what's in the project description that was submitted by the researcher. Then during the project, you just give a quick update. You just, what did I do last month? What am I doing next month? Do I need any help from the group? Am I stuck anywhere? And then at the very end of the project, you give a wrap presentation where you talk about how you finished the project, how you left it in a state where as an engagement, as a facilitator, the lab is going to be able to continue your work even if you're not there. And then at the end, we do exit interviews with everybody, and we capture a bunch of data because this is an NSF-funded grant, so you always need to report on that kind of stuff. So projects are typically either 3 or 6 months long, although there's a lot of flexibility in the end date, depending on how everybody's doing, but we try to define them into pieces that we think will fit in either a 3-month bucket or a 6-month bucket. And then, as Dr. Carruthers said earlier, we have stipends available, and we also believe that we'll be able to offer credit through RCOS the way that many projects are offered for credit now. So that's just kind of an overview of what would happen if you were on a project. And I just grabbed a few cards from our portal to just give you an idea of the diversity of projects. Actually, the first one is genome sequencing of a Bornean rock frog. That's actually in Northeast. It's not in careers, but it is a project that's looking for students right now. Then we have projects that have to do with, with protein analysis. There's computation. There's physical chemistry. There's light scattering. There's physics projects. So you can see a broad range of projects. And as you can see, all of the projects have tags that help to identify what the content is of this project. And similarly, if you sign up on the portal, you also sign up with tags that identify interests that you have. And you can either make them very broad, or they can be very, like if you have very specific things that you want to learn about, we have a lot of tags. So you just tag things that you're interested in. And that gives us some guidance in terms of trying to match you with the project. And if you're on the portal, you can click on any of these and you can learn a lot more about what the project, what the project description is, what they're kind of looking for in terms of, in terms of a student. And then you can click on any project to just say, I'm interested. And that will send an email to Kaylee and me, and we will try and match you with a project that's available. So As I've mentioned the portal a couple of times, it's basically where we collect all of our information. So we have all of our projects registered there. We register people there. We match mentors and students through the tags. We capture lessons learned. And it's also the place where you can go from there to all of the learning resources that we've gathered or developed and as part of the program. And then, as I mentioned, these tags help us help everybody that's participating in the team. So it helps student facilitators to see projects that happen to be in an area that they might be interested in, and it helps us to find people, both mentors and students, that are interested in that might be a good match for a particular project. So if you're interested in participating, I would highly encourage you to go check out the Career Cyber Team portal, and where you can learn about projects that we have right now and indicate your interest, and also join the team. You can join the team without having a project, and then that puts you on a list where you'll get listings of new projects that are posted, as well as notices about meetings. And so that's a very quick overview of what we're trying to do. If you have any questions or anything, you can email me at jma@mghpcc.org, or you can also contact Dr. Carruthers or Neil or Wes, and let us know if you have any questions before you want to sign up. So that is all the formal content that I developed. I can let's take some questions now, or we can take a quick look at the portal. Questions? I'm not sure how you raise your hand.
Well,
or how this.
The first thing is I have to turn on the microphone.
Okay, good.
So let's we talked about maybe getting some students involved, and that we had kind of a semester focus. But what you'd recommend is that they get on, if they're interested, they get on the portal now and get signed up, and then you guys are going to come back and talk to us again in a couple, in less than a month, or right around a month. Yeah, I guess a little over a month, and kind of pitch project, do this as a project pitch as well, right? Is that kind of what we decided to do?
Yes, so I think it's never too early to express your interest, because that will give us visibility into people that might be interested in projects that aren't even posted yet, and we'd be very happy to come back and talk about individual projects that are available at the moment when you want to be matching the next tranche of students, the next tranche of people that want to do that are interested in doing a cyber team project. There's also projects that are posted now, so if for some reason people are available and want to get started early, it's something that you can look at, and we can work out the timing with Dr. Turner. So, but yes, we would encourage people that are interested to go ahead and sign up now, so that we just know who you are.
And could I do one more clarifying question? A facilitator is kind of like Dr. Xavier, right? He runs he is in charge of making all the X-Men do their jobs.
It just took me a second to get the reference. Yeah, so, kind of. Let's see. Yeah, I would say. So it's there might be a better superhero analogy, but they are definitely superheroes. They're definitely people that if you didn't have, so I actually think a facilitator is actually more like an X-Men, or yeah, or an Avenger.
I want to be Wolverine, but
yeah, they have skills that can help a researcher that might otherwise, in some cases, researchers can get so stuck at that moment that they might actually change their research rather than have to try and figure out how to make use of cyber infrastructure. If they don't have a facilitator and they don't know how to find a facilitator, it can be daunting, because you might have to completely rewrite your code, and you might have to sign up for a national resource, and those are all things that it's much better to have a facilitator kind of there to help you along. And so it's, and that's for that reason, I think that it's a good analogy that they're superheroes or X-Men.
Cool. Anybody have any questions? We've had a couple of them. We've had a couple of people already ask for how to sign up, so we've provided your link in the chat.
Okay, great. I'm not sure I understand Dylan's question. What is the program and the sign up for facilitators? So if you join the team, you want to join as a student facilitator, and then just kind of follow the instructions. So there's a join the team icon in the middle of the site, and there's also you can also get at it from the top menu if you want.
And by the way, you did come at a really good time. We have a bunch of students who are on their semester away, their next semester. So HPC, somebody's asking what is HPC experience?
So that's basically, have you ever done any work on a cluster? So a lot of the cyber infrastructure is, like high performance computing. So HPC is high performance computing. And high performance computing can either be is usually on a cluster. So it's a set of processors that are all working on a project together. So even if you think about a lot of modern day laptops, you'll have, somewhere between 4 and 16 processors that are in your laptop. So high performance computing just takes that to a much bigger level of parallelism, where there can be thousands of processors available and petabytes of data available to do the project. So if you've worked on in an environment where you've worked in a multi-processor environment, you can talk about that in the project profile. And thank you, Richard, for already getting that far in the portal that you asked that question. Oh, the program. So you want to sign up for careers. So it's because if you sign up through careers, we'll keep track of you through Dr. Turner through RCOS.
So I'm not seeing any more questions come up. Anybody have anything else? So I think you've gotten a lot of interest already. So I'm kind of excited to see how this works out next semester. The only thing was, I think there was a genome on the brown bears. I thought that was better than the little frog guy, but maybe not.
The frog is really cute though. He's hilarious.
He is.
He's Floridian and he lives in the middle of waterfalls, and so they, frogs usually make their mating calls through, they make a mating call, but the mating call doesn't carry through the sound of the waterfall, so they raise their back leg, which I think is hilarious, which is why I put that one on there, because I just think it's such a funny project. So it's tracing their genome, but I think the bears are cool too. It just depends whether you want to work with little tiny frogs or big bears. But those are the types of projects where you often need to make use of high performance computing to be able to do that type of sequencing.
Awesome. Anything else, guys? Well, we would normally give you a round of applause. I guess I can do that. Yeah, thank you very much for presenting to us. I'm hoping that we get a couple of students signing up before the semester starts, because I'm really hoping we have some people to kind of talk this up among RCOS next semester. So so it looks like we're off to a good start.
All right, very cool. Thank you all for your interest and for your attention.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Julie. All right. Let's see if I can figure out how to grab this back.
Okay, so I stopped sharing, right? So
yeah, apparently that is the freaky one.
It's wild.
There we go. We are back. Thank you, Julie. That was great. Frank, you want to take over again?
Sure. Just a couple announcements go through, and then that'll be it. Next slide.
Yeah, I can't just yet. Hold on. There we go. Now I am no longer hovering over WebEx. I'm back on the real slides. Go ahead.
Great. Well, next slide.
Ah,
Okay. So thank you for that presentation. And so just next up, reminders for the upcoming workshops. We have Milo's UPE open source ecosystem presentation on the 10th. There's a link to it there. Also, the slides for today were posted in the slides channel on the server, so check those out. We have Word2Vec, which I believe has to do with natural language processing. If Daniel, you're here, correct me if I'm wrong, by Daniel on the 11th at 3 p.m. And Aiden is doing a Vue.js workshop, making a web app in Vue, also on the 11th. I think I put one of the wrong times there. I think one of those was supposed to be 1 p.m. I'll make sure that's fixed and I'll post. Sorry for that. I do not think they're both at 3 p.m. But keep an eye out for both of those. And again, we'll post any schedule changes in the server, and the links to these workshops will be posted in the server before, and the recordings will as well. Next slide. Also coming up this weekend is Hack RPI, which is RPI's virtual 24-hour hackathon. Definitely check this out. No matter what your skill level is, they've been doing this for the past couple of years. Pretty cool. Definitely check them out. Their website is hackrpi.com. So yeah, definitely recommend going to that. You can register right from the website. And I believe we usually give a bonus session attendance if RCOS members go to Hack RPI. Is that correct, Professor?
only if they win. No, we do. We do for participation.
There you go. So if you're available this weekend, check out Hack RPI. You get a bonus session attendance for it. And the details are on their website, again, at hackrpi.com. They got some pretty cool workshops and events and sponsors this year.
It is okay if you're just going to workshops. I don't think Hack RPI is individual. I think you're going to form virtual teams, but I'm not positive.
Great. Okay. And next slide. Due for this week, we have attendance as well as a status update. We are working on grading all of the pending status updates and the mid-year review. So those will be coming out in the next week or so. And as mentioned last week, if you have the chance, take the usability study that was mentioned in the Discord server. I believe that is it. And next, Professor Turner, just going through the project meetings.
Okay, so I finally got everybody on the schedule, including SMAB, who put in a month ago for all of their dates, but I managed to confirm that 10 is supposed to be an 11, so everybody is now on the schedule, I think. So these are the 6 remaining meetings we have to talk to. If I miss you, let me know. I don't want to miss you. I refer to these slides when I'm going to the meeting. Thanks, Julie. We appreciate you coming. This was great. We will hopefully be in touch a lot. Anyway, so our project meetings, the rest of them we have Xcalendar and Open Circuits today. As you can see, we're not going to make 5 o'clock. I'm hoping to push both of them back a half an hour. But let's talk quickly right after this meeting just about how we, anything we have to revise there. After that, we have SMAB on Monday, Shuttle Tracker and Rensselaer E-Trade Dashboard on Tuesday, and then the following Monday, we have Telescope, and that's it as far as I know. So please let me know if there are any, additional issues. If I missed you or if you haven't signed up yet, please sign up. That is it. Let's do attendance. Let's see. To do attendance, I need to do everything. And that should put everything on the page. And then I need to do an escape. And we need to get to some other window, except for this window. There we are. Okay, it's been a rough week. So the passcode on submittee today is TGIF, all in capitals and an exclamation point, and the exclamation point is required. It is very thankful this week. So I'm going to type that in here. TGIF exclamation point. That is our code for the day. Here's the venue thing. I'm sorry if things are fuzzy. It is very crisp on my screen. It's not very crisp on my screen on what do you call it, on WebEx. So I don't think it's OBS. I think the movies come out really crisp. So somewhere in the translation, something's being lost, and I apologize for that. But
I think it's literally because the WebEx webcams have a throttled like bitrate and a lower resolution, and since it's theoretically coming through your webcam, it like
okay,
it's weird, but it works. We're good. People are working,
and it works okay when we have it bigger, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We can make it bigger even yet if you want, but this looks to be about as looks to be relatively reasonable. All right. Entire screen QR code. Yes. Neither of my venue lecture options for today lets you take a picture of attendance. It just tells me who else has attended. Huh. That must. So can you take a look at that, Evan, Ethan?
Yeah, that's a big issue.
Yeah. Because it shouldn't be telling.
Do you want to maybe like PM me about that? Thank you.
Okay. I think that kind of closes it off.
Oh wait, Brooklyn, are you by any chance someone hosting a bonus session and you're looking at a bonus session lecture?
So I can make a bonus session, but no, I'm tapping the lecture 19. I have 2 of them available to me, and neither of them let me take a picture.
Interesting. Okay.
I think that's the end. You guys can go forth and Fridify whatever your Fridify is. In the meantime, I think Open Circuits, we're going to be there probably in about 20 minutes, if that works for you. If there's anybody from Open Circuits that can confirm that that's okay. And Xalander, we're going to meet you right now. Xalander, what room were we supposed to go in your Discord room? All right. There we go. Oops. Okay. Thank you all. Let's get great stuff done and think about either one of our next 2, either the idea proposal or these proposals from careers. And I'm going to stop the recording and shut down the system. And attend some meetings. Go ahead.
For anyone who is actually a student in anyone who is in the 990, if you're a TA for that, I apologize because you are accidentally added as a section in the lecture. So I'm going to actually remove that for you guys right now.
Yeah, I did that.
And yeah, so the 990 has now been removed. So theoretically, if you refresh your page, you should be able to scan it now.
Gotcha. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys later.